The Calgary Flames have one of the best prospect pools in the entire NHL, especially when based off of Scott Wheeler of The Athletic's new prospect pool rankings. The Flames are in the top 3 in the whole league, which truly shows that Calgary is completely built for the future. We're going to get into all that more in this video, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family, and let's talk about this prospect ranking. What's going on here? I'm saying top 3. Those are some big words around here. So if we get into Scott Wheeler's 2026 NHL prospect pool rankings, coming in at number 3 are the Calgary Flames. Now, Scott Wheeler does a lot of work for, obviously, The Athletic, covering the NHL. Mostly does prospect stuff, a lot of draft-related stuff as well, of course, which are also kind of prospects in a way, hockey prospects for the whole league. But either way, he's been counting down from number 32 all the way up to number 1, and today out came number 3, which is the Calgary Flames, which is very good to know. I believe last year on this list, we clocked in at number 13, I think. So jumping up 10 spots in just a season in which we're still a franchise that has never had a top 3 pick is quite impressive. I believe the only two that haven't come out yet are the Chicago Blackhawks and the San Jose Sharks, who are teams who have had a lot of high picks, including number 1 picks like Celebrini and Bedard, and they're not even really considered prospects anymore at this point. But either way, the Flames, like those two teams, are certainly built for the future, and this shows through this number 3 ranking. So if we get in from here, what he kind of does is just ranks, kind of a tier list of what the prospects are like. So we start with tier 1, no surprise, number 1 guy, Zane Parekh, a 20-year-old right-handed defenseman for the Flames who was drafted number 9 overall in 2024. A lot of people would say, hey, how can you even, consider him a prospect? He's been in the NHL this whole season. That's only because he couldn't play in the AHL. He's still considered a prospect. So Parekh is one of the most talented prospects in the sport and has the potential to be an offensive game changer. He might even be in a special tier offensively. 3 seasons ago, despite playing in just 50 of Saginaw's 68 games after missing 3 weeks due to injury from the end of February into March, and another couple for the World U17 Hockey Championship, he still broke the OHL's all-time goals record by a U17 defenseman, scoring 21 times. An OHL Cup All-Star, first-round pick into the OHL. Before that, Parekh became the most talented offensive defenseman in junior hockey over his last 2 years of junior, winning the CHL's Defenseman of the Year award and producing at an all-time great draft year rate, breaking the 30-goal and 90-point mark as the leading scorer of the Memorial Cup hosts by more than 20 points. What a long sentence that was. How the heck do I still even have any breath? My goodness. Can you throw in a period there, Mr. Wheeler? Either way, as just a very youngster, we knew how good he was. Graduated from high school early to focus on hockey, all that thing. We know that he went on to have an absolutely unreal World Juniors this year after missing out on previous teams. Maybe didn't have the start of the season everyone expected this year, but has really come into his own. So he is kind of that tier 1 prospect for the Flames, and the only tier 1 in the eyes of Scott here. Tier 2, though, starts with Cole Reshny, a center who is still 19 years old at UND. He was picked 18th overall in last year's draft. So one of my favorites from the 2025 draft class. Reshny broke 90 points last season and was sensational for the Royals in the playoffs, taking his game to an entirely new level and finding the score sheet in every game. This season, though, he scored just 6 goals for North Dakota as a freshman. He played 18 minutes per game for them as an 18-year-old center, was a point per game, won 56% of his faceoffs, and even featured prominently on the penalty kill. Entering this week's Frozen Four, his 35 points in 35 games are second most on the team and 1 point back from the lead despite only shooting 8.8%. That's the one thing that could bump up. He also got better as the World Juniors went on and had a strong medal round, playing the bumper on the power play for Canada and making some plays at 5-on-5 in a depth role. I expect him to be a go-to guy on next year's team, and he certainly will be for UND next year. A little bit older, should kind of be, your number 1 center, arguably, going in there. But again, I'm not showing this. This is a very lengthy article. He goes on and talks very long about a lot of players here. That's just a small snippet, but Cole Reshny in that tier 2 makes sense. Such a good prospect. He finishes with Reshny by saying, I think he has a chance to be a heck of a top 9 player in the NHL, and I see a little Seth Jarvis / Nick Suzuki in him. I'm higher on him than most, though. Top 9 player in the NHL, are you kidding me? We're hoping for better than that. Also in Tier 2's third overall, Matt Vagridin. We know how good he's been, a winger, 20 years old. Essentially just with the Flames now, was the number 28 pick in 2024. So Gridden got off to one of the hottest starts in the North American junior hockey as an import in the USHL in his draft year and continued to produce all year, leading the USHL in scoring with 83 points in 60 games. That's pretty uncommon for a draft age player and is usually reserved for first round locks. I didn't quite have him there. He ranked number 38 on Wheeler's final draft board, but the Flames did, and he then made the move from Muskegon to Shawinigan last season, and we know how that went. He won Rookie of the Year. He was excellent, moved up to the AHL last year, actually cracked the Flames lineup at the beginning of last year before essentially cruising with the Wranglers the rest of the way, and started the season with the Wranglers here, or spent some time with the Wranglers again, I should say, and obviously is a stalwart on the Flames now. Absolutely incredible player. We love him too. Then we get into Tier 3, which starts with the 4th overall prospect for us, Cullen Potter. You know, faced a huge injury this year, season-ending injury, but he's a center, still just 19 at Arizona State, was picked number 32 overall in last year's draft. So one of the best skating prospects in the world, the 5'10", 178-pound Potter, is a smallish but talented player who uses his electric speed to put defenders on their heels, create opportunistic chances, get out in the transition, and jump onto loose pucks. He's a fun player to watch with his ability to go inside out and outside in on players, round corners on them, and his desire to attack off the rush and challenge D by turning on the jets and burning them wide or blazing into a quick stop-up. My goodness, his sentences are way too long. I'm not even going to finish this one. We know what makes Cullen Potter good and why he's so high up on this list. He is incredible. 5th, do we really have to even go into what Wheeler has to say about him? I'm not really going to. Ethan Wittenbach, a winger, 19 years old at Quinnipiac, recently 19 too. It's not like he's almost 20. He was the number 144 overall pick in last year's draft, but absolutely insane. This could go down as one of the best draft steals in Flames history, if not hopefully in league history, of course. But absolutely incredible. Unfortunately, not a Hobey Baker finalist, even though he should be after leading the nation in scoring in the NCAA and leading his team almost to the Final Four as well. For Quinnipiac, that's not a team you expect to get there. Plus, he's going back there next year with a lot of the same team. Quite exciting. His development should be very, very good. Also in this tier is Hunter Brustevich. Again, another guy I don't need to talk about too much since he's on the Flames now. But he's a right-handed defenseman, 21 years old now, was the number 75 overall pick back in 2023. What is interesting to note here from Wheeler, what he notes, is he said, he led Kitchener's defense in scoring and turned me into a believer, finishing 40th on his ranking, but going 75th to the Canucks. So quite a drop in where Wheeler had him, but it clearly seems as though Wheeler was right since this guy has become such a stud, not only for the Wranglers, but also now with the Flames, really truly developing into one of the better young defensemen in the league. We absolutely love him. Do I have one more? The last guy from this tier is Sammy Honzik, a guy who, again, Flames fans, we don't need to discuss him too much. We know who he is. I feel like a lot of these articles is kind of describing if you don't know who the player is. Unfortunately, again, faced a season-ending injury, but a really good player. Cracked the lineup somehow last year out of training camp. Unfortunately, didn't. I think earlier in the video I might have said Gridden did. I meant Gridden did this year. Honzik was the one who did it last year. But either way, such a good player, developing quite well. Not going to be, your number one guy on a team, but still surprisingly good at this point. And hopefully once he's healthy again, can develop into the player we all want him to be. The article goes on to continue with a bunch of other prospects, the guys you'd expect, Muse, Basha, it goes on and kind of ranks all those guys as well. Feel free to go read it. I know I'm already quite late into this video, but it's definitely worth a read if you're a big Flames fan and you want to be even more hyped up for the future, because we are truly built for the future. It's exciting times. Now, let's get into tonight's game where the Flames continue their lengthy road trip here to kind of end the season before they head back home. But tonight they're in the home of Mr. Mantra himself, the Texas Tiger Pickles, Blake Coleman. This one goes at 6 p.m., so by the time this video's out, it should be right around the corner, or maybe the game has already started by the time you're watching. But facing the Stars, obviously a very good team this year. These were the lines and pairings at practice in Dallas yesterday because it was just an optional skate this morning. So gives us an idea of at least the top three forward lines being Coleman, Backlund, Coronato, Farabee, Frost, Gridden, Suniev, Strome, Pospisil, and then take your pick out of all those remaining guys. Not confirmed those will be the lines for tonight, but we'll see the D pairings. It most likely is what it says here. Ball, Whitecloud, Mata, Brustevich, Kuznetsov, Perek, with Pahal as your extra sitting out. And it looks as though Cooley will be the starter tonight since he did show up to the optional skate this morning. That usually indicates who the starter will be. But either way, the big outlier for me here is Suniev, of course, who we're all hyped to see. He said, every day you try to improve everything. That was Suniev speaks on his progression and play with the Wranglers this season and on getting called up. So hopefully it's true and he is actually in based on yesterday's lines. I know a lot of Flames fans want to see that. I'm sure the Flames players themselves want to see it. And more than anyone else, Suniev wants to get in there and prove his worth after the excellent season he has had for the Wranglers. Should be very exciting. Now let's get into the comment of the day to wrap up this video, as we love to do here on the channel. Comes from yesterday's video, of course, and this is a great one here from Brett. Brett says, ideally it would be best if the Flames can finish 31st, so worst case have a 4th overall pick, but hoping a win to move up for Gavin McKenna. Win in terms of the lottery, not winning games. And it is true, that is ideal with 32nd locked up to Vancouver, but at this point it just doesn't look like Chicago's ever going to win again, so I'm almost hoping we just do solidify that 30th and solidify ourselves a top 5 pick. But of course, I would also love to win the lottery or at least get a top 2 pick. We'll just kind of see where the Flames do end up at the end of the day in the standings. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to what you saw here today and have a wonderful rest of your day.